Well, today I've got a very special Keeping It Real. I'm joined by the one and the only Mr. Vince Leisey, who is our new brand president. But I want to preface this by saying, look, Vince is not new to the organization. In fact, Vince has been around for quite some time. Vince currently runs one of the most profitable brokerages in Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. It's out of Omaha, Nebraska, right in Mr. Buffett's backyard. And if you haven't been out to see Vince, you saw me pushing the event he's got coming up, Explosion's coming up. I think he's got just a couple of tickets left. So you're kind of on the tail end. If you want to go, you better sign up quickly, unless Vince is even sold out on that. But Vince has run an amazing organization. He has got 750 of his 1,100 sales professionals in one building. One building. The biggest we have is 350 of our agents in one building. So, buddy, I'd love to come out and check that out sometime. Sorry I haven't been there yet. It's on my list, and I'll get out there soon.
Love to have you anytime. You're welcome.
Well, appreciate that, buddy. Well, Vince, thanks for being with me today. It's with so much change, so many different things going on. Let's face it, we're experiencing an incredible amount of excitement right now at Home Services. And quite honestly, this is the most amount of excitement and change that I've experienced since I've been in this brokerage for the last 3.5 years. So I'm stoked. I'm so glad you're at the helm. I'm excited for you. And I'm just going to hit you with a few questions if you don't mind.
Please shoot away.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. First and foremost, Vince, you have led one of the most trusted brands in real estate, our Berkshire Hathaway Home Services brand, at a very high level. Again, in a very prominent place in the country, considering the brand that you're running. You've been an operator for many years, and now you're the brand president. You're over a lot of agents at this point. If we were to look, what is the biggest factor that's truly going to set Berkshire Hathaway Home Services apart as we move forward in this new journey? I'd love your take on that.
Yeah, it's probably a little different than what we've had in the past, but I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I think one of the biggest factors is we need to be entrepreneurial. And one of the things I love about this network is we've got all of these brokers that are different, right? Some of them are owned by Home Services America, as Mike in Omaha and yours in Vegas is, but we got a lot of other ones that are entrepreneur. And ours, when Mark Stark owned it, your organization, they were entrepreneurial. And I always talk to Mark and some of these other brokers, and what I love is I think what gives us a huge competitive advantage is we all have little different models and we do things a little different, but the collaboration we do, the coming together, the idea sharing from a business perspective of what do we do that's best for the brokerage, what do we do most importantly that's best for the agent. And the byproduct of that is when we're doing great things for the agent and we can learn together as entrepreneurs and figure out what are the tools that we need to get them, what are the support systems, and how do we help them out, each brokerage grows and the network grows in that process. So to me, I think the biggest thing we have is the entrepreneurial spirit that we have within this, and that's unique in the real estate world. You got a lot of other brokerages out there that's one brokerage running across the country, and you don't have all of these highly successful entrepreneurial mindset people there coming together to with a common goal of let's all work together for the benefit of everybody, with the focus on what do we do to help our agents be more productive and be in an environment and culture that they love being at.
Yeah, you're so right, Vince, and that's something that that this organization has really carried through for so many years under Mark's leadership. Building that business in a business, that brokerage in a brokerage, has been a big part of the success of this organization. And then the collaboration. Vince, you and I are on a group or on a couple groups together, and one of the working groups we're on together is we're working with franchisees right now as well, and talking about what's best for the real estate professionals, what's best for the brand, what's best for the entire industry as a whole. And it's really fun to collaborate so openly with one another in our different markets, because we're not going to lose the autonomy of who we are. But the beauty is we've got the power of Home Services behind us at the same time. So
I agree.
As you know, and we're talking.
To piggyback on your question, as I'm sitting here thinking about this, that's another competitive advantage we have, right? Is we have one of the most successful businesses of all time. That's our parent company. And so having that support behind us of them gives us stability, and they, whether we like it or not, gives us the drive of keeping focus and clarity on what we're doing to make sure that we're doing the best things for the organization as we move forward. So I think
Yeah.
having that, we, we want to focus on that, and we want to lean into that.
Yeah, amen. And it's something that you and I were talking about. It's something that Chris Kelly was talking a lot about as well in Minnesota. Is just simplifying. Why are we making things
Right.
so complicated? Let's simplify. Let's get extreme clarity, and let's figure out how we move forward together with the power of what we have by still being autonomous in our markets as well. And that kind of leads me to my next question. Is our industry is evolving so quickly. We're seeing so many. Um, it's like a spider crack effect. We're seeing so many spider cracks coming off of brokerages and teams and all the different things that are taking place. A lot of it is technology based. A lot of it is market shifts. A lot of it are new regulations. As a brand that's designed to help our people become the best version of themselves, what do you see us doing, Vince, moving forward to maintain that trajectory? How are we going to continue, or not even continue? How are we going to jump up and make sure we're leading the way amongst others? In your professional opinion?
Yeah, I'd say first of all, I would say the real estate industry has changed more in the last 5 years than I've ever seen it change in my whole career. And I'm getting old, so I've been doing this almost 40 years now. And so with that, basically you watch organizations, they either change with change or they die and get left behind. And so one is I want us to be smart enough to look in the mirror and say, what are things we've been doing well? And let's lean into those things. But what are things that maybe we need to change as we move forward? So I don't want us to act like everything we've done in the past is great, because it's not. There's things we need to learn from, and we can improve upon those things. But for us to stay ahead of the market, we've got to be innovative, right? We've got to be entrepreneurial. And so I want to lean into a number of initiatives. One initiative is our good friend Jimmy Burgess has came back to the network to run his brokerage in Florida, down at Beach Properties. But also he's going to be the chief coaching officer for both Home Services America and for us. That's an initiative that I think that's very important, because coaching is this ongoing thing that we have to help our agents continue to grow, to learn as the world's changing, to tweak their business, to take it to the next level. So I want us to take coaching to a level we've not done before. And I think
Yeah,
that's very
amen.
important. And I
Yeah,
think most networks think that is the coaches of the Mike Ferries and the Tom Ferries and the Brian Buffinis and those guys in the world. And I think that there's a burden of responsibility on us as a network and a brokerage to supply that coaching. So that's one thing I'd want to lean into. But the thing I think that's most obvious to all of us that's changing at a pace we've never seen before is technology, right? Innovation and those things. And AI, ChatGPT, is less than 3 years old here, but you think it's been around forever. And so, uh, you know, I have a committee here started right now with agents and with brokers and with network executives coming together saying, hey, let's learn from each other. And so when I look forward and to make sure we stay ahead of everything is I want to make sure that it's not just executives at Berkshire Hathaway or within the brokerage business making decisions to guide us. Because I feel when that happens, we kind of have blinders on, okay? And I don't want that to happen. So I'm putting top producing agents in a lot of these groups to get the input from them to tell us, how does this really work? What do you really need? What do we need to do to more effectively communicate with buyers and sellers to grow your business and help life be better for you so you can have more balance in things? And by doing that, it's going to allow us to understand in real life what's happening, because we may think as the executives of the network or of our brokerages that we're in touch with reality. But the truth is we're not out there working with buyers and sellers every single day. So I'm engaging agents in a lot of these processes to have them, maybe fill in the holes that we're not seeing. The other thing I want to do is, specifically when we talk about technology, is I've got someone at Berkshire Hathaway on Friday, and again this week they're having a meeting with someone at OpenAI. I want us to talk to vendors because they could be working on things that we haven't even thought about yet. So it's going to take an army and it's going to take a team of things to do this. But as long as we work together as a team, right, and understand that agents need the brokerage and the brokerage needs the agent and the network needs both of you, and we all work together for a common good, we're going to win these things. So I want us to stay ahead of the curves on innovation, put work groups together, get agents input, and then let's go out there and put together branded things to Berkshire Hathaway that's going to be market, that's going to allow us to continue to move forward. And as the world changes, let's make sure that we're trying to stay up with those changes and embrace them and get them out to the network as fast as possible. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of initiatives. Another thing that I think is important is we kind of got away. Again, I want to look in the mirror. We got away from events for a while. We canceled summit and convention. Let's be honest about what's happened. Those are back, and we've hired back Denise Doyle, who ran all of the events for Berkshire Hathaway in the past. And I've told her I want more events than we've had in the past. I want you and Jimmy to get together and let's talk about how we marry coaching into events to do those things. And let's have more events to bring people together that are serious about this business, that want to be the best of the best to grow those things. So those are all initiatives that we need to lean into as we move forward. And if we do those things, it's going to create an incredible culture for each one of our brokerages and us as a network. And I would argue, there's a lot of people say brick and mortar is dead. Well, I would argue that's not the truth. I think brick and mortar and bringing live events together and bringing us together, there's better collaboration, there's better idea sharing, there's networking, there's a lot of power that comes out of there. And coaching and masterminding is better live than it is virtually. So that's one of those things where there's models out there is, the virtual model is the right model. Well, that's not what human behavior tells us, that most people are not wired to be in that environment and be more productive. So I want to tie these aspects of things we have together to getting together for live events and being together in office spaces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Vince,
I love that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you guys, I know in talking to you, you guys believe, and I've been a good friend with Mark for years, so I really understand the DNA of your organization. You understand, I think, the importance of brick and mortar and bringing people together and doing those things and the coaching components of those things. And so let's lean into those things more than we ever have before.
Yeah. Hey man, you hit on so many key points. And basically, I'm going to scrap through almost the rest of my questions. You nailed everything I was hoping you'd talk about, Vince. Collaboration. Everyone listening, you've heard that a few times out of Vince's mouth. You hear me talk about it all the time. That's why we have the different groups we have in the company. Collaboration. And by the way, Vince doesn't even know what the coffee is yet, man. He just got in the seat. So he's already put groups together. He's very serious about collaboration. He's talking about the AI group. I'm also a part of that group. It's a very small, intimate group. It's really fun to hear from agents that are using it effectively and to how we want to dive into it. Vince, you mentioned working with our vendor partners, OpenAI. You've got people meeting with OpenAI. 3 or 4 weeks ago now, I sat down with a couple of vendor partners and I gave him my dream list for AI. He brought his developer in from New York to just sit and talk about it, to see what they need to do differently. By the way, I'm going to get you connected with them, Vince, briefly,
Please.
For a quick call, because they were eyes wide open. The developer was like, "Yep, Troy, I get it. We can do this stuff." So I will connect you with those gentlemen as well. And we spent almost 2 days just talking about what we need as a brokerage as we move forward. AI is a huge initiative for this company. We hired somebody recently. That's going to be their focus in our company right now. So, and it was collaboration. It was, network. Let's get back to networking events. I think that's where the magic is too, Vince. And it's hard because there's a big expense that goes on to these things. Convention, it's a few $1,000,000 to put on a convention. Even after people buy their tickets, there's a massive expense that goes back to the brand for that most don't know. But why do they do it? Because it works. Because it's worth it.
Just so you know, it costs us approximately $3 million after the ticket sale. So I think there's a theory out there that, we sell the tickets and that covers the cost. That doesn't cover close to the cost. But we do that, and I promise you we're going to continue to do that because we see great value in bringing people together at events. You cannot duplicate that energy and excitement, that exists when you bring these events together.
No, and it's fun. We get to see it. It's like a class reunion every year when we get together. It's a lot of fun, and it's just a great time to get closer and closer with one another. And there's a lot of deals that happen because of that event and Summit and everything else too. So thrilled to hear that you want to not only keep our staple events going, but bring back other events for folks as well. We're actually working on something. I'll share it with you another time off of this call, Vince, that we've got a new group that we have formed. And again, I think it's important that you know about that too. But I love where your head's at, man. I mean, you and I are in such alignment with where you want to go. I know Chris Kelly's in alignment with everything we're discussing as well through conversations with him. We're just in an amazing place right now at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. And it's going to get harder before it gets easier. We keep talking about that too. We talk about in our working groups, but I mean, this is the first time that we've been in working groups weekly where we're meeting to make the company better, and things are moving. And I know you feel that too, Vince, through everything you're doing.
I do. And when you talk about Chris Kelly, one is, Chris and I've had conversations is that we shouldn't have home services with their company-owned companies working on one project in technology or some sort of category and have the network working on a different project. It makes no sense. I'm like, if we get this AI thing done and it's great for everybody in the network, well, then let's help the home services company-owned companies, and vice versa. If they've got something done that's beneficial to all of us in the network, then for God's sake, let's get those rolled out to everybody in the network also. So the closer we work together, the better off we're going to be. And talking about Summit, we're going to be in your backyard. We're going to be down there in Scottsdale. So any of you top producers, your company's basically our host company down there in Scottsdale for Summit. So we'd love to see you guys there. I'm very excited about that. And I know there's not a lot of tickets left for that event either. So love to see you there. And of course, I'd love to see you in Omaha for Explosion. I think we got maybe 30 tickets left or something like that.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, I'm so excited you're going to be there, buddy. I'll connect with you for sure. And you and I were talking before this call. It'd be fun to try to get a little private group of us together to say hello to you. I want people to get to know you like I know you, Vince. I want people to get to know Chris like I know Chris. There's just such incredible, amazing people in this company. And I'm sad that they don't know you guys as well as I do. But it's a mission of mine. It's one of my goals this year is how do I get 2,400 agents to get to know you like I know you. And I know I can do that. So together we'll work on that. You're on the West Coast. Let me know ahead of time. We'll get some groups together and we'll come out and see you while you're out on the West Coast at the brand. So we've got a lot of big things to do together, Vince. And I'm so grateful you shared some of those today. Before I'll let you go though. Buddy, you are an exciting human being, whether it's your energy that you bring to a room, whether it's the crazy loud shirts that you have on, whether it's just, I've been on vacation.
And today I have white on, so that's probably
and today you're wearing white. I'm like, God, I should have
been behind me.
That helps. But you're a dynamic individual, Vince, and it's going to be so fun seeing your flavor painted on the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services brand. Dude, give me something personal about you that this group doesn't know. Something personal, fun, different. Could be anything.
I guess I believe when you work hard, and when you play hard and relax and unwind and recharge yourself. And so my favorite thing to do, quite honestly, is I love water. So I've got a second home down in Florida. I've got a boat. I was just with our good friend Mark Stark for the last week. Quite honestly, a week ago I got back from a week trip with Mark. But it's put me on the water. It allows me to unwind and to relax. And I love to vacation with my wife and family. So those are the type of things, I want everyone to work hard, but I want everyone to have balance in their life. And I think that's really important for us. Life is a lot more than work. And so for me personally, it's always been, let's work, but let's just make sure that we're going to take time to do things we do. I'm an old man, but we have a volleyball league on Tuesday nights here at the company. And so I go out there and still hobble around and do those type of things. So I want to try to stay active doing those things, but it's really just, spend time with family and friends, love vacation, get away. And anytime you can take me to the water and I can relax and unwind, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. Well, buddy, thanks for sharing that. Family and balance, they're everything. I wrote an article recently just talking about that, the power of family and the power of recharging, because without it, and by the way, we all forget to do it. Most of you watching this, you forget to recharge because you think, I'll just make 20 calls this weekend real quick too. If you don't breathe, your mind is a muscle. If you don't rest the muscle, you're not going to get full performance out of it. And there's a time and place for everything. Should you work hard 8, 10, 12 hours a day? Absolutely. But you got to replenish that. And I know you do that, Vince. It's probably taken you a few years to figure that out too. You keep saying you're an old guy. You look younger than I do, man. And I'm 53 at this point. So it's all these gray hairs came from brokerage in the last 3.5 years. But
I understand that.
I'm so glad you do. I am. Buddy, I'm just so proud of you for being taking on the new gig with the brand as well as your brokerage. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to see where this goes together, with your guidance, our feedback as a company, as a brokerage, from the agents and these working groups that you and I are in together. We're going to make a difference together. And that's something I promise everyone who's watching this.
And I love that. And it pops a thought into my head is, when Chris Kelly asked me to take this job, really, I wasn't looking for a job. My wife's like, are you crazy? We've got a pretty good life right now. What are we doing this for? We don't need it. But I asked Chris, I said, Chris, I need to make sure that Berkshire Hathaway Energy and Home Services all understands that we have to change because the world's changing. And I said, if we're not willing to commit to change, I'm not interested in taking this job. And so there's a sick part of me that likes challenges. And I think the real estate industry's got harder and harder, and it's going to continue to get harder. But that commitment from them at the top level to embrace change as we move forward, I would hope would make everybody happy, because that's the only reason I'm here. Is if I didn't think we can make a meaningful difference to the agents, to the brokers, and embrace change in a meaningful way as we move forward, I would not have took this job at all. And so I love that component of what's going on. And Chris has brought a fresh perspective, and there's work to be done. There's going to continue to be work to be done because the world's going to change. But I know we're up to the task.
Yeah. And I know that about you, Vince, get to know you over the years. I know that about you. And when you took the job, I think that's why I was so excited, because I know you wouldn't have jumped in as a placeholder. That's just not who you are. And that told me right there, it showed me how committed Home Services is to getting back to offense. And that's what ignites my fire now. I think that's what ignites so many of our real estate professionals' fires as well, is knowing there's somebody that wants change. And I'll tell you this, those that are watching this, Vince is challenging hard on our working groups. He's pushing back in areas. He's challenging the whole entire group in these groups to make everyone think differently. And that's our goal. That's our goal as leaders in the organization, is to push back and to challenge and not look for an easy road. Just this morning, we were having a conversation, and it's like, hey, that timeline's not long enough. We need to think about that. And actually, you and I jumped on that immediately. Like, you guys, we need a few weeks on that. Let's just be real. Let's just not do it quick. Let's do it right. So thank you for your continued leadership in that, Vince, and for being such a big presence in the organization, buddy. I'm so happy you're here. I'm 100% committed to this brand, this organization, and just making it better than it is. Like we talked about earlier, how do we make this best of class? And I think we're so close, but there's a few little details we'll be ironing out over the next few months, and can't wait to get there, and I'm excited for the journey. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Before we wrap up, I just want to say, I've always loved your guys' organization. My relationship with Mark for years has been incredible, and now we extended through you. And our organizations probably is much like in Omaha, and I'm still running the Omaha brokerage, by the way. The Omaha brokerage and your guys' brokerage there in Arizona, California, and Vegas, we're very, very similar. So I'm always here to help you guys no matter what I can do. You've